Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the debut record from Dieth, To Hell and Back, out June 2nd on Napalm Records. The album has 10 tracks, 41 minutes in length, and they are an international death thrash metal band. You can call them a supergroup, featuring Dave Ellefson ex Megadeth, Guilherme Miranda ex Entombed AD, and Michael Legechko ex Decapitated. So as you can see, a lot of talent in this band. From a design point of view, this record has an interesting quality to it. I feel like they understood some of the diversity, some of the volatility of these tracks, and that sometimes it's hard to put them together in a way that the album feels together, feels compact, or at the very least balanced and fluid. And not trying to make the album just sound like a collection of songs, just sound like a compilation. The structure then plays a role in how you perceive the overall listening experience. So what they did was they created a sense of beginning, middle, and end. At the beginning you have To Hell and Back, great opening track, a track that has all the right attributes, that has a great intro, and then it sets the bar in terms of what the heaviness and in terms of what the overall sound experience is going to be all about. Then in the middle you have Walk With Me Forever, a ballad, a song that's different musically, that is different vocally, that's also more emotionally driven. And then at the end you have Severance, an instrumental track that closes off the album but ties itself perfectly to the beginning, To Hell and Back. So if you listen to the album in sequence and you have it set on loop, you almost forget that the album has ended and restarted, because the sequence between the last and the first song is absolutely perfect. They connect with one another as far as the sound, the essence, the musicality is concerned. So having these three pillars are really important in order to better define the shape of the album. I just don't think they were quite enough in order to control some of that chaos that exists in between them, but still a great structure nevertheless. As far as the sound is concerned, definitely a death thrash metal sounding album through and through. The two blending really well. It's hard to say that one song has more of one or less of the other. I really feel like they found a balance between those two worlds, and that's exactly where they're trying their sound to sit. But I don't think this album completely defines who they are as a band sound-wise. And you have other influences as well. This is an album that also has some groove elements and even some new metal elements. The thing you can say about the sound is that it definitely has quality, really well defined. You can hear the drums really well, the bass is clear, the guitars are clear, everything is defined, everything is coming across in a very controlled manner. It's easy to see the lanes in which these elements are driving and pushing themselves forward, and overall the experience that you have when you reach the end of the album is that this was a heavy record, a balanced heavy record all around, even though sometimes that's not the case. Specifically when you pass across Walk With Me Forever, that ballad there in the middle really changes your perception. It's almost a reset in the middle of the album, which works really well. I mean, if you're going to put that song anywhere, that's exactly where you want it. So, but you still feel at the end of the record, because of the vocal performance, because of the sound, everything just becomes very robust. It's a very big sounding album, but just because it's big and heavy, it doesn't mean it loses its definition. And I think that's exactly where their DNA is going to start to shape and become a little bit more defined as they move forward, which is to create a sound that it's robust, that has texture, that has layers, that has substance, but not allowing itself to lose shape and become murky around the edges, so that it becomes difficult to define what's driving what. They honestly understand exactly what they want from their sound in terms of what pushes the songs forward. It's just a matter of fine-tuning some elements so that their DNA becomes a little bit better concentrated and better focused, and that impacts the songs as well going forward and the overall sound experience. But when I look at the elements within this record, obviously the bass is going to pop. I mean, you have Dave Ellefson on bass. You're not going to hide it in the mix. It just doesn't make any sense. And I honestly enjoyed the bits in which the bass comes into the forefront and becomes almost the driver of specific periods, not of songs completely, but of specific periods within the tracks. Because this is a record that at times lacks emotion. It lacks an emotional drive, or at least it lacks connecting to the listener in an emotional way, outside of a few songs and a few momentums within certain songs. But the bass, when it pops, it definitely allows you to connect better with the song, because it offers perhaps a better defined darkness, a better defined sense of somberness to the songs. I just really enjoyed the tonality of the bass, the texture of the bass, the texture of the sound. So I honestly wanted it to pop even more than what it did, but it's still enough for you to really feel like it has its role, it has its place within the overall sound experience of this record. The drums are very heavy on this album, and I think if there's one thing that we can agree, or everybody that listens to this album can agree on, is that a lot of the heaviness of this record, a lot of the heaviness of the heavier songs of this record are really propelled by how heavy the drums are. That's almost the spark that lets the fire and then allows the guitars to do their thing and allows the vocals to also bring a lot of heaviness and aggression. I honestly enjoy the drum sound tremendously. It's definitely one of the highlights of this record, how powerful it is without necessarily overpowering everything in its path. Now, the guitar sound feels very dynamic. A lot of the moods and a lot of the influences that you see from genres, from death metal, thrash metal, like I said, some sparks of new metal, and definitely groove elements, all of that becomes better defined by the guitars more so than anything else. The vocals here and there, but I would say even more so the guitars. So I enjoy the guitar sound. I felt like it had life. I felt like it had energy. I felt like it was connected with the experience and always added value from an overall big picture, but also from key leads, little riffs here and there, interesting melodies, some little nuances that they added to the songs that allow the tracks to have a lot more energy, to have a lot more life. Also, having this movement between the death metal sound and the thrash metal sound was really interesting, creating a little bit more thickness when they want to push that more powerful and aggressive sound that the band has, and then becoming a little bit more chunky when it was moving more into the thrash metal sound in order for the song to pick up some speed and become a little bit more intense, a little bit more driven. So I honestly liked the guitar sound all around. I thought it was a great guitar performance on this debut album. Now, vocally, the heavier side of the range is really good, really strong. Guilherme is a great vocalist, and I feel like this album sonically really gives them the right tools to be able to put his full range on display and do different things here and there. And that's exactly what you're gonna get. I mean, look at the ballad with the clean vocals, completely different from all the other songs. So I feel like he has a little bit more freedom to be who he wants to be on this record, and that came across even in the harsh vocals. I felt like the harsh vocals were better connected than what I was expecting coming in. They always felt at place at the right time, infusing the right amount of intensity and aggression to the songs, and becoming easy to follow in terms of what the lyrical content was all about. It's one of those records that you can connect with a vocal performance and you can go a little bit deeper because it's powerful, it's aggressive, it's intensive, but you can still feel it, you can still understand it, and that gives quality and that adds value to the overall composition of the songs. Where this album perhaps lacks a little bit is I don't think they have a defined fingerprint sound-wise yet. And when you don't have that defined fingerprint sound-wise, it becomes a little bit harder to connect with some of the songs on an emotional level. You listen to the songs, I listen to the songs, I like these tracks. I mean, this is a quality record through and through. It has a lot of quality songs, it has a lot of quality singles. The structure tries to give this album a little bit of a shape. It tries to paint a picture. I think it comes close, but it doesn't fully put it in front of you. And the lack of emotional connection that I got from this record, because you can listen to a song and say, this is a great song, but that doesn't mean that the song pulls at your heartstrings. This album lacked a little bit of that, and I think those are the two elements where this album feels a little bit short on. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Wicked Disdain. Killer drum sound, heavy and driven guitars, pushing this big wall of the sound forward. And then the vocals match that intensity, they match that aggression. The chorus stands out of the verses, and the bass pops, the backing vocals, everything that they added, all the layers that they added really gave quality to how this song moves and to how this song works. I like how aggressive it is. I like the pauses that it offers. It allows you to feel the aggression around it a lot better. The definition between the more direct verses and the more bombastic chorus works really well as well. This makes more movement, but overall, when you get to the end of this track, you just feel like you listen to a song that was very relentless. The bass at the end, the bass that pops, the bass that comes into the forefront and suddenly takes control of the steering wheel and drives the song all the way through the finish line, outstanding. An exclamation mark on the overall track. Next you have the ballad, Walk With Me Forever. A song that changes your perception of this record. First of all, the clean vocals are really well done, really well delivered. It's perhaps the most emotionally driven and the most emotionally connected song on the entire record. I just felt it. I felt the sound, I felt the vocal performance, I felt the lyrics, I felt more not only connected with it, but more invested in the experience that this song gives. Not just because it's a ballad, not just because of the clean vocals, but when it comes to the lyrical content, when it comes to the sound and how everything is put in front of you, everything just feels so good. Everything just feels perfectly set. The table has been set in front of you. It's just about enjoying a quality meal. And that's exactly how this song comes about. Last but not least, Dead Inside. Great guitar sound, very diverse guitar sound, great execution, multiple layers on it. This is a very layered track, but subtle in the way that it presents those layers. It also has great tempo. It has death metal elements, it has thrash metal elements, it has groove metal elements, and it has intensity and movement in order to really give you all of these blends together as one and allow you to see that all of them can really become just one single fingerprint. Musically and vocally, this song is an absolute banger of a track. This is a headbanging song. This is a circle pit song. I love the sound, I love the execution, I love the vocals, I love the overall experience. This is it. Dieth with To Hell and Back, out June 2nd on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those, getting back to you. Take care, guys.